Friends, today I'll give a talk on the second part of the lecture given explaining manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankar and hridaya. Now in this second part we would proceed further and we would find that three main terms have been used in the philosophical texts based upon this the chitta, mana, buddhi and ahankara. And those three terms are chidakasha, chittakasha and mahaakasha. Since now we have known the actual meaning of these terms, it will become easy for us to understand the meaning of chidakasha and chittakasha. Chidakash is formed from chitta, that single T, and chittakasha is formed from chitta, that double T. So, after knowing easily the difference between chitta and chitta, we will be able to understand the meaning of chidakasha and chittakasha easily. As we know, chit means pure mind without any impressions or information from external, this visible world. That is pure mind. So chidakasha means the sphere of the Brahman where there is no impression of the visible world. Chidakash is the sphere of Brahman where there is no existence of the visible world. And there is third term, Mahaakasha. Mahaakasha is the material sphere. And Chittakasha is the sphere of an individual Chitta. So, when the Samashti is concerned, Samashti means universality. When we talk about the universal mind, means Brahman, that is Chidakasha. From universal mind, we have the Jiva's mind, individual souls. So that individual soul's mind is the Chitta, having full information, maximum information of the visible world. So Chittakasha is the sphere of an individual, made by individual as per his information of the external world. So Chittakasha is the sphere or material sphere of the individual person. And the perimeter of Chittakasha is as per his understanding of the visible world and whatever information he has gathered from the information from the visible world, that has formed his Chittakasha. If he is very much involved in the visible world, then his Chittakasha is very big. If he is less involved, his Chittakasha is lesser size. So this is how the Chittakasha is formed. Chittakasha is formed with the interaction of individual mind with the Mahakasha. Mahakasha is the material sphere within which the whole universe, these heavenly bodies, celestial sphere, and everything is contained. This Mahakasha, in fact, it is formed from the Chidakasha itself. Akasha, the word Akasha is generally used for sky or ethereal world. But the actual meaning of Akasha is not the vacuum or the sky or some ethereal world. Actual meaning, as per the Shastras of Akasha, is samantat kashate prakashate iti akashaha. That which is illumined all around. Means this illumination, that light, this light of the stars and everything that illumines the whole of the observer space, so that is Mahakasha. And Chidakasha is also a sort of light sphere of the Brahman, because Brahma is also a source of eternal light. The Upanishad says, Tasya bhasha sarvam idam vibhati. The light of the Brahman enlightens the whole universe. So, from that Chidakasa formed, from the spiritual light sphere is formed this material light sphere. In fact, the light of the material light sphere is the source of life on the earth. Because all amino acids, they are generated or created from the light. They can be produced from the light. And when the amino acids, they are bombarded with proteins, the life originates. This is the research of the scientists, modern scientists. So this light is the source of life. And the source of this light is Chidakasa. That is why the Upanishad says, Tasmad Atmanaha idam akashaha sambhutaha. From that light sphere. Atma means that light sphere, spiritual light sphere. Or from that Brahman, akashaha sambhutaha. This Mahakasha originated. And Mahakash means all this Panch Bhautika world, these five great elements, the world created with the help of these five great elements, or this Trigunatmaka Srishti, Sattva, Rajas and Tamasika Srishti, creation. So, one place there is a Chidakas, from Chidakas evolved Mahakasha, and Jiva is in between. And the Chitta of the Jiva, or the soul, mind of the soul, when it interacts with the Mahakasha, by its interaction with Mahakasha, the Chittakasha is formed. If the mind of the individual soul would not have interacted with the Mahakasha, this material Akasha, then Chittakasha would not have formed. And Chittakasha would have occupied or assumed its original form as Chidakasa. But since the mind has the sanskara of ahankara, that is individuality, and due to that sanskara of ahankara, the individual soul got separated from Brahman and it got involved with the Mahakasha. It got attracted because the things which are the cause of one's fall are easily attracted. One can easily attract it to the things which are the cause of your destruction. So the chitta, due to the sanskara of ahankara, when it's separated from the Chidakasha, the soul, then its mind got involved with the Mahakasha, with this visible universe. And he had, as per its interaction with this visible world, it formulated its own akasha, material world. Its own material world it formed, and that is known as Chittakasa. So, this whole material world, what is outside, the philosopher says that this is nothing. This world, what you visualize outside, in fact, is the creation of mind, because that world is within the sanskar of the mind. If this world would not have been in the sanskar of the mind, your chittakas would have been empty, then you would not have to interact with this visible world. Because the world is inside, so the same is radiating outside. That is why the Indian philosopher says, try to reduce the sphere of Chittakasha. If you are not able to reduce the Chittakasha, you will keep cycling in this world. In one way or another, you will be taking one life or another life. You will be there in one species or another species as per your sanskaras. So what is the way out? How to purge your mind or clean your mind from this material akasha? How to decrease the size of the material akasha in your mind so that the size of chidakasha may increase? For that, the only way out is, because mind dwells in the body. Body is the house of the mind. And there is a saying, healthy body keeps the healthy mind. So it depends upon your body, what type of mind you want to have. So if you want to have if you want to push your mind towards a spirituality or chidakasha, then you will have to do some changes in your body. Body is the ground. So if you want a particular type of fruit, you will have to grow the same tree. So body is the ground where the tree can be grown. So what will happen? You will have to change your food and drinking habits. Then you will have to make your body suitable to your chidakasha, not to the chittakasha. If your body is suitable to chittakasha, then you are not going to get rid of it. So for that matter, a method is there. There is a way out. And Bhagavad Gita and all our Shastras, Ayurveda, they have dealt with the subject a lot about food system, food habits and all. So the food is of three kinds, Sattvika, Rajasika and Tamasika. So if you want to feed your body with the Tamasic and Rajasic food, then you cannot get rid of the Chittakasha. You will keep involved into this material world. The Chittakasha cannot transform into the Chidakasha. So what will happen? I think everybody knows the division of foods in Sattvika, Rajasika and Tamasika. I should not waste much time on these aspects. Briefly I can say the fresh fruit, the fresh food, fruits, juices, and all vegetarian light food which has not been cooked in oil or ghee, means it should be light, it should not be hard to digest. That food is the sattvic food. And this all the food that is cooked in oil or ghee, that has made very strong and hard to digest. So that type of food is the Rajasic food. And the stale food that has been preserved for 5 or 10 days, then you are eating it, tinned foods. These are all tamasic foods, meat, flesh, wine. These are all tamasic. So if we are going to feed our body with the tamasic food, what will happen? The body is going to produce your chitta of tamasic type. For example, if somebody is going to take meat or some animal's meat, that means he is going to inject that animal's sanskar in his mind. That tamasic animal sanskar is the tamasic sanskar. And with that sanskar, he can never think of getting the birth of a human being. He will have to go to the Narakalokas, the lower species, as I told earlier, the species of animals, the species of birds, and the last tamasic species are the plants and vegetations. And Rajasic species, they are animal, birds, insects, and all these things. And Sattvic species is the human being. So if you want, it is not possible for everybody to attain moksha. But at least we can do one thing, that we cannot revert down. We can maintain our status quo. We are human beings. So at least we must try to keep ourselves at the level of human being. Divinity is very difficult, no doubt. It will take thousands of births practice to attain divinehood and the moksha. But at least we can maintain our status quo, and we can retain our human ship in the next lives also. For that, we shall have to follow the routine of the sattvic food. And we must avoid all these tamasic and rajasic foods. When they are avoided, then at least we will be able to retain some sattvic sanskaras. The sanskaras of Drishya Jagat, visible world, are there in our mind. We cannot get rid of them. But at least having the tamasic and rajasic sanskaras, we can have some sattvic sanskaras, so that we can maintain our human life in the next lives also. So this is the whole procedure, how to purge the mind. First purgation of mind can take place with the purging of the body. If we are able to maintain a sattvic body, then our mind can come out of rajasic and tamasic status, and it can go with the sattvic conditions. Once you are able to attain the sattvic condition of a mind, then you can easily go higher up. You can get rid of slowly and steadily, you can start getting rid of these tamasic, of this visible world, whether it is tamasic, rajasic, you have already abandoned, but this sattvic visible world, you may also get rid of it. And this will take a lot of time. Sometime the people question, how can a human being live without the visible world? No doubt everybody has to live in this visible world, but we won't have to involve intensely in the visible world, living in the visible world. But if we are involving ourselves to that spiritual world, that is the way of life, how to maintain it. There is a very good story regarding King Janaka, that Sita's father, And a seer came to his house, a rishi, a sage came to his house. And King Janak was known as a Jivan Mukta, living liberated man, king. And that sage, that seer asked a question to the king. O king, how can you retain all the status of Jivana Mukti? You are a king, you are always dealing with the people and involving in this material world through your functions and acts. You cannot get rid of it, but still you are in the stage of Jivan Mukta. We will talk about this Jivana Mukta, Videha Mukta and Moksha in the next lecture because it will be too big. Then King Janak told, okay, my dear sage, you take your food, you take your meals first, then we'll sit and discuss all this. I'll give you the answer to your questions. He was taken to the guest house, he was given food. But king ordered his attendants, he told, swing a sword over the head of the sage when he used to take meals. So the sage was asked to enjoy, relish the food. Delicious food was served to him, but over his head a sword was hanging. The sage got frightened, and every time when he was taking food, his attention was towards that sword. And he used to think, maybe this sword may fall down, and he may be killed. So he completed his meals. After that, he was taken back before the king, and king asked him, so you have taken your meal, you are fully satisfied? He told, yes, I have taken it, I am satisfied. The king told, what you took in the food, what you ate? Sage told, O king, a sword was hanging over my head. I had a fear. I was looking at the sword all the time while eating food. I don't know what I had taken. So I don't know that. Hearing this, King Janak told, this is how I am dealing with this material world. I am just doing my job, that spiritual job. I'm always 24 hours, every second of the 24 hours, I'm meditating upon Brahman, that spiritual sphere, that Chidakash, and doing work in this mundane world. This is how I'm maintaining my status as a Jivana Mukta. Hearing this, the sage got astonished. This is the way out. There are so many ways out. There's not that if you want to become spiritually high, then you will have to leave this world, you will have to go to the jungles or some hills, Himalayas. It's not necessary. Even a grihasthi, householder, he can be a great yogi. And there are so many examples. Lahiri Mahashaya from Bengal in 19th century. He was a great yogi. He was a grihasthi. So there are so many examples. So grihastha, sannyas, these are the different parts of life, but you can purge your chittakasha from this visible world, and you can start your journey for transformation into Chidakasha. So these are the differences between Chidakasha, Chittakasha and Mahakasha. If you will get involved with the Mahakasha, then your Chittakasha will be of a greater sphere. It will increase. And if you will get yourself less involved with this material world, your Chittakasha will reduce and Chidakasha will increase. And with the increase of Chidakasha, you can keep increasing your Chittakasha, and finally you will have a maximum. The entire Chittakasha will be replaced by Chidakasha, and that will be the status of Jivana Mukta. And for this, mind it, not one life is required. It will take thousands of lives. Effort of the thousands of lives will lead you to this direction. So whatever you understand today, try to increase it. Do practice daily, and that practice, abhyas vairagyabhyam nirodha, will lead you towards your goal of moksha. Moksha is not only just emancipation, but how to get rid of the sufferings of the mundane world. That is also moksha. The less and less involvement with the Chidakasha will lessen your sufferings. The more and more involvement with the Mahakasha will increase your sufferings. So you will have to decide whether you want to live a happy, healthy life, or you want to have a life of stress, depression, sufferings, pains, sometimes happiness, sometimes painful events. So how to control this? This will teach you how to control your pains, how to balance yourself at the time of suffering and pleasure. So that balance we can learn if we are able to understand this secret of Chidakasha, Chittakasha and Mahakasha. So we are in between two. So if we try to tend towards Chidakasha, we will move towards divinity. We can uplift ourselves, elevate our being. And if we are leaning towards Mahakasha, then we will be leaning towards suffering, pains, stress, and whatnot. So I think in this lecture, you would have been able to understand this philosophical secret of life, how to maintain balance of Chittakasha between these two spheres. Thank you.